Great. Thank you so much for staying with us. Time now for the conversation on Father's Day. Father's Day is tomorrow, 16th of June. But you know, because of our Beyond the Scars show here on Weekend Express, that's why we are having the conversation today. And continue sending in your feedback. We're asking you, what is that one thing that your dad or your father figure did for you that you will not forget? I already see a lot of your feedback. You can also call in live to wish your father or your father figure a happy Father's Day. We'll be glad to be the channel that you use to convey that message. And my guests are already with me in studio, Mr. Abel Amunga and Coletta McKenna on my extreme left. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I see a lot of feedback so far. One Kefa Langat is saying his father sold his valuable machine for him and his brother to get school fees. Mwangi Wangare says he taught me how to drive. Now, Abel, if I would start with you, we'll be getting to your experiences as a father, but what is that one thing your dad did for you that you won't forget?
The one thing my dad did for me is he taught me how to respect the female counterparts. Yeah, he taught me how to love and respect the opposite sex. Yes. Sure. And to treat them with respect all the time.
Sure. Coletta?
He taught me a lot of things, but the one that has really lived in me, he taught me how to respect my elders. He taught me how to respect my mom and to never talk back to elders. Yeah.
Great. So the reason we are having these two in studio with me is because Abel Amunga, I'm sure most of you know him, he is father to Ruth Matete, a renowned gospel artist. He's a single father. He'll be sharing his journey with us. Coletta McKenna over there lost her dad in 2015. She was 24, right? And we just want to have a sort of a different conversation, you know, just to get the experiences firsthand. And me too, I did lose my dad in 2016. So as I said, it is a topic that is really close to my heart.
That's right.
And of course, continue sending your feedback. Abel, if I would start with you, you're a single dad.
Yes.
How has it been? I don't know where we're going to start, but how has the journey been?
Well, I could say there have been joys and sorrows because sometimes challenges make you, whenever you conquer some challenges, they make you feel great. It gives you a great feeling that you went through it and you came out, you know, whole. So I could say some of the challenges have made me stronger, more experienced. And some of the pains have also taught me a lot in life, like they've just turned out to be life lessons. I cannot say that pains have been more than challenges. I mean joys. It's been great growing up with my daughter because, as we usually refer to it, we've grown up together. Basically, when I became a father, I was very young. I was about 21. So, and she came, and when she was 1, I was 22. So we grew up together. So it's been great growing up together and getting to learn one another. Yeah.
Great, and you'll be sharing that, you know, more with us, especially because we all know Ruth Matete, this successful woman, actually attended the worship experience.
Oh, you are?
Yes, and it was such an awesome event.
Awesome.
Coletta, it's a tough conversation.
It is.
But I want you to take us through what happened on 2015.
I was here in Nairobi. My dad was home. That's where he used to work. When I first received a call from my sister that she was informed that my dad had passed away, I didn't know what to react. I didn't cry. I was not really emotional because I didn't believe it. It's like I felt like I was dreaming. I didn't believe it. So after a while, I called my mom. She didn't pick up. I called my sisters. Like, no one could actually tell me what happened. So I had to leave whatever I was doing so that I can travel home. And on my way, I was trying to accept the fact that he died. I didn't want to accept. So when we got home, it was really tough seeing my mom. Like, she was strong. She didn't cry, and I was convinced there has to be lie somewhere, like no one is feeling the pain. I don't see any pain in their eyes or anything. So we stayed. The following day, it started dawning to me that actually my dad is gone. He was my best friend. He was my high school principal. I didn't want to accept that he was gone. And my younger sisters, it's like we were all in denial, like no one wanted to accept the fact that he's gone. And when we actually laid him to rest, that is when it hit me that I'm never going to see him again. Mm-hmm. And from there, it has been tough for me. I have cried myself to sleep. I have done things to forget my pain. And the most painful part is I've not been able to share it with anyone. I've not opened up about my pain to anyone. I have kept my pain inside. I could just write letters to my dad when I was in pain. I could write letters. I could imagine having a conversation with him. After we laid him to rest, I could dream about him, but I could not see his face. It really troubled me. I wanted to see his face. I wanted him to speak to me. He couldn't speak to me. I couldn't see his face. It was a journey for me. It was so painful. But with time, I came to accept the fact that he's gone. Yeah.
And you know, Coletta, I relate because I remember, for me, because I was actually working, and then my small bro is the one who called me, and you know, he was only 10, and they don't know how to, you know, break the news, so he just goes like, "Daddy ametuacha, daddy amekufa," and I'm thinking, what did you just say, you know? So our home is in Murang'a, so the journey from Nairobi to Murang'a, I'm thinking by the time I get home, he'll resurrect. I mean, he's not dead. He's just sleeping. So it's hard to accept.
Yeah.
Then, you know, those days before his burial, the day of the burial, you're still hoping he'll come back. But then when they lower the casket, you're like, you're just denying him the slightest chance he had to come back to life. It's really hard. Coletta, as I said, I really do relate. Abel, if I could come back to you, and you just tell us how it was. Ruth came when you were 21 years old, right? Still
22,
young.
actually.
22, sorry, 22. Still young. How was the journey until now you ended up being a single father?
Well, it's a long journey. But first of all, allow me to say pole to both of you for losing your dads. Unlike both of you, I still have my dad. And I'm going to wish him a happy Father's Day at the end of this. I lost my mom in 2012. And probably should say I shared the same feelings that you guys felt when you lost your dads. I was 22 when Ruth came. She came out of wedlock. That was my high school girlfriend. And it was really hard for me to bring myself to reality that I was going to be a dad at a very tender age. I thank God for my late mom who stood by me, and she kept saying, "No, you know you're a dad, and you can't reverse it. You just go ahead and try your best to see how you're going to support this." So when I came to Nairobi to college, I left my girlfriend pregnant, and I really tried my best to hustle and, you know, undertake odd jobs to make sure that I send something small back home to her. She was staying with her mom, and I was here schooling. So it went on until the time she delivered Ruth. And my mom went and named her after my favorite grandmother, who was called Ruth. So Ruth was actually named after my favorite grandmother, who I spent most of the time with. And she sent me information, now you're a dad officially. And that was a wow. Yeah, but by the grace of God, because we've actually been brought up in a Christian family, and we've been brought up to take our solace and our courage from God. So I said, God will help me sail through this. And actually, my intention was to finish school and settle down with this lady, with my daughter, make a family. Unfortunately, 9 months later, I was told she had moved in with another man, and it was really heartbreaking news. I confirmed, yes, it was true. She was living with a man, so I was depressed for a while. Yeah, because I guess she was my first love. And then the fact that she was having my baby really strengthened the bond between me and her. So that was a great breakup, unfortunately. So here she is with my daughter, with another man. I'm here struggling, going to school, doing odd jobs and sending stuff once in a while. After a while, church helped me a lot, and I had to go over it. Though for many, many years, I just stayed not... I never trusted any woman, sorry to speak. I never trusted any woman. I went through a lot of pain. I did a lot of things. I got into boxing to try and vent out my anger. I messed up. I hit someone so bad. I came back and joined some music group. And that was now where my real Christian journey began. And I just got fully into church, and I started training music. I do music. And that's where my recovery journey started, from church. Later on, she had kids with that man. And after a while, she started asking if we could get back together. Because apparently her marriage had turned abusive. That guy would beat her, would go for days, denying her food and stuff. So I also started wondering how my daughter is surviving such an environment. So later on, I met a lady who we got together, and accepted her, and church advised me that we should settle down now that I was a minister in church. So we got married. And then the pressures of my daughter's mother trying to get back together with me lessened when she learned that I was now married to someone else. Then hardly 1 year through my marriage, I heard she was sick. How? Because her husband had beaten her and she was expectant. So the baby died inside. So it was really, really traumatizing. I went down to visit her. She told me, now the best thing you could do is just go pick your daughter, because she's not safe with that man. So I picked my daughter, came back to Nairobi with her, got together with my wife, and I merged the two, and they got along very well, apparently, in the first 1 year. So a few months later, I learned that she has died. She succumbed to all those injuries, and she had anemia, she had blood pressure, she had ulcers, all sorts of things that come with depression and stress. So she died. So I had to take in my daughter fully. When Ruth came to Nairobi, she was close to 7 years, 6 years, some months. She hadn't been to any school. She hadn't been to class, nothing at that age. So my wife and I decided that we need to take her to school. So I said, I'm taking her to class 1. She never knew how to spell her name. She never knew how to ABCD. She never knew nothing.
And you're taking her to class?
She never knew Swahili. She never knew English. She only knew Luya. But I had faith.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there was a teacher in this primary school who was of my language. She said she'll take her in and try and train her in Luya. So she did that, and within a few months, she had caught up. She's been very bright from her tender age. And before I prolong my story, here she is.
Here she is.
Yeah.
You'll be telling us more.
Yes.
We need the details.
Yes.
But Coletta, if we could come back to you, before you lost your dad, what kind of a father was he? I know you told us some of the things that he taught you, respecting your mother and all, but what kind of a father was he?
He was our happiness.
I know our dads are, our best friends, our first loves.
Yes, yes.
born in a family of girls. We are just girls, no brother. My dad, what can I say? He was our happiness. My sisters, my mom, when my dad is not there, when my dad is not at home, you would tell he's not at home. That joy, that happiness was not there. And I remember when school closed, he would make us line up, starting from the firstborn. Where is your report form? And we could go through the grades and talk about school and all that. And during Christmas was our happiest moment. Not because we used to have a buffet or anything, but the joy that we used to have because my dad used to make us cook a lot of food, not for us, but for people. The joy of him seeing, I grew up in the village. The joy of him watching so many people come to eat food, it was indescribable. And at the end of the day, we used to forget that there is food because we were so busy serving people, talking to relatives and all that. My dad personally was my best friend. When I used to have boy problems, I could talk to my dad and not my mom. My dad would ask me, do you have a boyfriend? Is there any boy in the village who is trying to approach you? And I didn't find it difficult having that kind of conversation with my dad because he used to call us our sons. Growing up without a brother back at home was difficult, especially for my mom, because everyone saw she was supposed to give birth to a son and she doesn't have a son. Yeah. So it was a lot of pressure for her from the society. And my dad protected us. My dad fought for us. He didn't feel intimidated or threatened or anything negative with the fact that he didn't have a son. He openly used to tell people that these are my sons. And when we are going to the market, he used to like accompanying me to the market. He could tell me, Coletta, he used to have a nickname for me, which I cannot mention. And he could tell me, today I want to see the boys that you talk to in the market. And we would spend the whole day in the market with my dad, shopping and all that. And then in the evening he could tell me, you just go home before your mom brings trouble. I will come when it is a little bit dark. And then I could go home. And then he could come home and we could talk and talk. He was funny. We used to compete reading books, especially African literature. I remember there is this book, Concubines. My dad used to describe that main character, a woman, how she was beautiful, how she had a very nice shape, and my mom could be like, what are you telling these children? My dad, and then we could tell my mom, you're just jealous because my father is describing this woman. My dad used to enjoy telling us how he married my mom, how they were courting, how they used to meet under trees in the market. It was fun. And he brought us up in a way that we could not talk back to my mom. You were not allowed. He always told us that my mom, your mother is the firstborn in this family. You are all going to get married. You're going to leave me with your mother. So if anyone says anything or raises their voice to your mother, you have me to deal with. And it was automatic. He really loved my mom. He was this African man. He didn't show love but we could feel it. I don't know how I can describe my dad, but he was the best thing that has ever happened to me. Although one time he did suspend me when I was in Form 2. And he told me, just go home and bring your parents. So I go home.
Oh, you mentioned he was
He was my high school principal. So this, when we were in
So he tells you to go home and bring your parents. Wow.
he gives me a suspension and tells me, you have to go home and bring your parents. So I go home during the weekend. He comes home and he's like, why are you here? Why are you not in school? And I tell him I've been suspended. By who? By the school principal. Where is the letter? So I go to my room, bring the letter, and then he tells me, give it to your mother. So my mother reads the letter, and my mom is like, now he's going to take her back to school. My father says, now I am not a teacher, I am a parent. When we meet in school, we are going to talk about that. So when I was supposed
What did you do for him to suspend you?
I was involved in a school strike.
Okay.
In a strike. So when we reported back to school, we had to go to his office with our parents, and I'm just there. My mom told me, I cannot take you. Your father is there. You just go. So when I enter in the office, my dad is like, there's my dad and the school and the BOG. So my dad is like, where is your parent? And I'm like, now what am I going to say? So I just said, it is you. So he just dealt with it. He was a very great man. I can say he was a man of the people. Because he didn't know how to argue. He didn't know how to fight. And most of the time, like when they had a disagreement with my mom, when my dad comes home, and the previous night they had an argument, my mom could maybe go to the kitchen, and my dad would just follow her there. My mom would come out to go to the shamba, and my father would follow her there. And they were not in speaking terms, but they would follow each other around. He used to make fun of the situation, and the pain and the anger would just disappear. It was fun. And when we lost him, we have never celebrated Christmas since then. It's like we got so angry at each other for reasons that I don't even know. Everyone was dealing with their pain. I used to take sleeping pills to avoid the pain. I could watch movies and feel it's not really helping me. And then I could take sleeping pills and sleep for like 2 consecutive days. I could not eat. I was feeding poorly. I lost weight. And then one time I came home from town, and I felt the pain was too much. So I used to write letters either on my laptop or my notebook. So this one time I wrote a letter to him, and I was feeling the pain is too much. I could not talk to my mom because I felt like I'm putting too much pain on her. I could not speak to my sisters because everyone was dealing with their pain. I didn't know who I can talk to. So I took a lot of pills. I just wanted to get away with the pain. So I took a lot of pills, and I slept for 4 days. And nothing happened to me. And afterwards, when I woke up, I felt I was angry at God. I wanted this to end. And when I woke up, I had to accept the fact that he's gone. Yeah.
And you know, it's really hard to accept because I remember I was also suicidal. In fact, I had planned, how I'll take my own life, because at that moment you're selfish. You never think about the pain you're gonna cause your mom, my brother. You only think about yourself and how if you die, you won't miss him anymore, you won't cry for him anymore. Because I always say it's like someone who's stabbing you repeatedly and they're not ceasing and you're not dying. The pain is just there. It's it's too much, but I'm told we need to take a short break right now. Continue engaging us at KTN News KE, at Grace Korea KE. I see a lot of your feedback. I'll be sampling it at the end of the show. You can also call in live when we come back after the break. Do stay with us. We'll be continuing with this conversation.